Another food export emergency I need to ring the alarm on, and it's been happening. We discussed it. We got to revisit it because this may be major. Yes, back in 2017, 2018, we produced more food than we consumed and destroyed. That's good in a way because it allows food to stabilize under a certain price. Because when you have to destroy food because you have too much, that keeps the price of food low because the supply and demand issue takes no effect. You know how that works. So let's take a look at what's happening and how food shortages may be a lot more realer than you could imagine. Let's take a look. So Associated Press is reporting this today and is, reporting this April 29th of 2022, but we're going to get into today's articles. Heatwave scorches India's wheat crop, snags export plans. So New Delhi, an unusually early record-shattering heat wave in India has reduced the wheat yields, raising questions about how the country will balance its domestic needs with ambitions to increase exports and make up for shortfalls due to Russia's war in Ukraine. Again, they're always going to tie this to the war in Ukraine forever and ever and ever. Amen. Right? They're not going to tie this to bad government leadership, and we're going to get into that through India here. So there it is right there. So this is from May the 3rd. Heat wave destroys wheat crops in India, accelerating global food collapse. Again, this is from, was this Ethan Huff here that wrote this? Yeah, Ethan Huff wrote this there from Natural News. And it goes into the second most populous country in the world is now attempting to assess the damage, and experts worry that India may have to increase its imports to make up for yield shortfalls that will occur come harvest time. So there it is. And it goes in to say, where was it here? It was a Punjab is usually the largest contributor to India's national reserves. The government of India was hoping to snap up about a third of its stock from the Punjab region, but that may no longer be possible due to the heat wave. So now, let's go over into here. India bans wheat exports. That's from CNBC, and tame prices as scorching heat wave curtailed output. May 13, 2022. India has prohibited wheat exports, and government said in a notification late Friday. The world's second biggest large wheat producer is trying to calm local prices, and global buyers are banking on the world's second biggest wheat producer for suppliers after exports from the Black Sea region plunged following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So there it is right there. So then it goes on to say right here, rising food and energy prices has pushed India's annual retail inflation up towards an 8-year high in April, strengthening economists' view that the central bank would have to raise interest rates more aggressively to curb prices. And we just did a video on that yesterday, curbing inflation. Now, what are you looking at here? What is this? This is the protests in India. Farmers' protests in India in 2020 and 2021 and into 2022. What are these protests for? Well, the governments in India were seizing land from people to basically federalize it or become under government control. And so government could get a bigger piece of the pie of the exports and stuff. And it all goes deeper than you could imagine. And I think the same government ran that everyone opposed and still won, just like every other government that nobody wants in, that goes to the polls and wins every time. So there it is right there. These are the protests during the mass sickness that was going around. These protests were happening, and people were pretty much starving to death in parts of the world because India's produce was basically under attack, and produce, wheat, and all kinds was under attack. So I wanted to share this with you guys. Could this be the prelude to the cover-up of climate change? Or instead of blaming bad governance, they're going to blame the war in Ukraine? So this is from Eurasia, from Asian Institute, talking about the wheat volume from industrial processing evaluated 24 million tons. Global export of wheat amounted to 184.3 million tons. The IGC forecast that wheat production in 2020 to 2021 will reach 768 million tons. So that's off the table right now. So this is the Eurasia Institute. That was their forecasted predictions, kind of like a farmer's journal or farmer's almanac. So all uses of wheat. Here it is here. Top 10 uses. So why do we need wheat? Because it's used to make bread and flour. Yes. Used to make bread with flour, used to make biscuits, used to make noodles. A lot of countries are on you get into noodle famines where you run out of steak and the good and eggs and the good food, you start going on a noodle famine. Used to make muffins, used to make snack foods, used to make cakes, used to make yogurts, used to make pasta, used to making puddings, used to making sauces. What else we got here? There it is right there. But I wanted to throw this out there. And India cuts off wheat exports amid skyrocketing prices, destructive heat wave. Again, Ethan Huff, today's date from Natural News. Don't forget to check them out. And it goes in to pretty much the same story, but reiterated through a little bit different by India's inflation is added here. 8-year high amid the news, which has many economists feeling, though, that the central bank, again, will have to raise interest rates. And it goes into here saying that maybe the divine creator, in quotations, is trying to send a message, wrote someone at Natural News about how each price of the global economic puzzle seems to now be falling one by one in succession. Guys, don't forget to check out our Mike in the Night from 23 days ago, Food Wars. Nobody saw that. Well, no, we saw a lot of people watching live, but we had issues getting the stream up. But there it is right there, Food Wars from 23 days ago. You're going to want to watch 436 because we go into bizarro stuff that they're creating to create shortages. Could it be that the Indian government trying to take farmers' lands? Could this have been a prelude to the situation they're in right now? Because my sources I've spoken to in India yesterday and last week were telling me they were getting hit by a lot of rain. So I don't know what's going on. What is this? They're trying to federalize our food. If you had independent farmers, more independent farmers, and our government here in Canada, Justin Trudeau said that the worst carbon footprint in Canada, even though Canada is a negative carbon because we have so much trees and so much green, that like carbon is non-existent from Canada because we're not we don't produce anything anymore like we used to. Now they're blaming the farmers. Farmers are the biggest carbon footprint according to Trudeau in Canada. So they want to federalize the food as much as possible. And they're taking it away from the biggest production exporters that produce and export the food. They're taking it away from them first, so then it could hit the supply lines over time, what they want to federalize the shipping and supply lines, which we talked about. That's going to go to our big box stores. You notice how 100 years ago, 90% of grocery stores didn't exist. Neither did 90% of the sicknesses and whatever they're finding nowadays didn't exist either. Look at it. Follow the trail. Anyways, guys, Mike Martin's here. Let me know what you guys think about this. This is going to get a lot more major, and it's going to go down for real. And that's why, it's time to buy food. And we've been saying this for over 10 years on the channel. It doesn't hurt to have a little bit of extra food. Think of it as money in the bank for your belly. Mike Martin's here. I have spoken.